What's going on, guys? Alpha the Wizard back at it with another video. Sorry, I'm a little sick, so don't mind me. But I thought it would be pretty cool to just go over this winning deck list that I achieved through Dragon Riders Games tournaments. This was a 4-round tournament, so some people say, you can't really tell a lot in 4 rounds. But, honestly, I had a lot of fun with this. This deck has been giving me a lot of success, and I thought I would just go ahead and just kind of display this for you guys. So we have a Tearlaments Spright deck list for current format. This isn't post-Photon Hypernova. But yeah, just to kind of hop into the deck list, we are playing a pretty standard tier lineup. 3 Sharon, 3 Hobnus, 3 Merrily, 2 Rhino, 3 Planet, 1 Scream. And then we do see the inclusion of Tearlaments Grief. Now, we haven't seen this card since Chris LeBlanc won in Minneapolis with Tearlaments Spright, but I thought I would just adopt the idea from Chris, so shout out to him, and just kind of test the card. Honestly, I do a lot of my testing in online tournaments. I don't take them as, I would say, serious as like a regional. This is more so my testing grounds for events. And looking back on this tournament, I would probably cut this. I don't know if I would necessarily play 2 Grief. If anything, maybe a 1 of. But I mean, I thought the card was really cool because, it's basically easy access to Rhino Heart. And with us playing 47 cards in the main, sometimes it's a little bit harder to get to our tier engine. So, just activating Grief to summon Rhino and then sending Rhino and then use Rhino's effect Engrave, given you have like a Solic or another tier card in hand. It's really just a good combo enabler. Not to mention, if you summon Beaver, use effect, summon Angler, you can just Grief away. You could summon the Rhino, send the Angler from the field, and then trigger Rhino's effect to dump. So it has its purposes. Not to mention, if you do have a Sprite card, just to kind of touch on a little bit more why it's decent. If you have a blue on the field, you could summon out like a Merrily and then send the Merrily, or you could send the blue to and then trigger Merrily to mill 3. But I will say, I don't think it's 100% necessary. We could just simply cut these 2 cards and maybe just run 45 cards in the main. So that's another good option. However, the deck did win the tournament, so, it's not the worst. And then we do have the instant fusion. I chose to play 2 Solic instead of the 1-in-1 ratio of Solic and Crime, mainly because, we want to be able to get to our tier cards as quick as possible. Crime is kind of a blowout card if we're able to set it up. However, in this deck, I was more focused on consistency over, the power. So I wanted to be able to, because the power is already being compensated by the Sprite cards, let's be honest. Because, at the end of the combo, after you set up everything, you could just go for Gigantic summon, blue get Jet, and then you just have an extra interruption as opposed to what standard tier can put up. So yeah, that's why I chose to run 2 Solic, just so, if I do mill 3, hopefully I can hit a Solic and then search like maybe Sheeran, because the combination of Sheeran sending Angler is just so good in this deck. Now, on to the Ishizus. This is a relatively small Ishizu package, running 3 Keldo, because this is the best one, and then 2 Mudora and 1 Kelbeck. The reason why we play these ratios, Kelbeck is just, it's really good. It's a hand trap. However, we're not focused entirely on milling through our entire deck just like standard Ishizu tier, mainly because, we do have our Sprite engine that we have to consider as well. However, this is probably one of the best search targets off of Keldo. So simply opening Keldo and any other Ishizu, and then, you pitch to search Kelbeck is just really good. You're basically searching a hand trap. And I do only run 2 Mudora, This is the worst one with us compacting so many engines together. I just think that you don't really need 3 Mudora. While it is nice having 6 shufflers, I didn't really miss the third Mudora. Plus, I don't like opening this card going second. Let's be honest. And for the Sprite cards, this is just a 1-1-1 ratio, 1 smashers as well. There is an argument to maybe like cut the 2 griefs and then just add a blue. It seems like that honestly might be the way. If I were to play this in another tournament, I'd probably just play a second blue and run with 46. But the small Sprite package has been pretty nice because this isn't the center of the deck. It's more so like what we can do after we combo, because we do play the gigantic. And then we do play 3 beaver and 2 angler. Some people have been contemplating 2 beaver, 2 angler. I don't like it, and here's why. Because if we're forced to start off with beaver, so I want you to just paint this picture. We go normal summon beaver, activate effect, summon angler, okay? Now we get to a sprint play. We still have 2 more beavers in deck. That's why I like the 3-2 ratio with this. But yeah, I don't necessarily think we need the third angler. We just need enough to facilitate the combo. And then 3 super poly. Super poly is honestly godly in this deck because if we super poly them and send angler, that's just so beyond crazy. That's a lot of advantage. I mean, even super poly pitching a shuffler or a Kelbeck, if it's not like the tier matchup, is just really, really good, honestly. So super poly, this was probably the MVP in this whole tournament, to be honest. I remember there was one game, it's actually posted on the channel, so go check that video out. It was against a Shizu tier, and he set up. He had a Sheeran on the field that he already tried to fuse with Sheeran. He had Merrily on the field, and he had a Rhino that he summoned from Grave. And he dumped a tier to try to fuse, and it was actually Sheeran that he dumped to try to fuse, and I chained Super Poly, and I polyed away his whole board. It was kind of gross. Ironically, I still lost that game, but I did win the match. So it was actually the finals, if I remember correctly. But yeah, and then we have 3 droplets. Droplets is another card that is really, really, really good in this deck. And since we are playing a higher card count, we can facilitate 3 super poly, 3 droplets pretty consistently. Because droplets, just simply being able to send a shuffler or even a Kelbeck or even angler, is just really, really good. It's a lot of synergy with both of these cards. And then, because the Shizu tier is the best deck in the format, we do play the Bestials. We play 3 Magnemite, 2 Druis, and 1 Sorneer. You definitely want to only really play 2 Druis and 1 Sorneer, aside from the 3 Mag, just because you want to have, like, if you open, Druis Worm and Magnemite, you want to be able to search a Sorneer. So you don't want to necessarily have like double Druis in hand. You want to be able to like get to a Sorneer too, so you can have more bestial names. But then since the Shizu tier is the best deck, moving to the side, we do side in the 3rd Druis and 3rd Sorneer. I played against a lot of a Shizu tier this tournament, and I won them all. So the bestials are very, very, very important. And then I do play 1 Banshee and 3 Zombie World. Looking back on it, it's a little weird to me. I would probably just play 2 Banshee and 2 Zombie World. But I guess I was trying to prioritize this not being my normal summon if I played against Flunder, even though that's not a bad option. But yeah, looking back, changes I would make, it should be 2-2. And then I do side in 3 talents going first. If I'm playing against the Shizu tier, half the time I just side the Bestials, and that's really it. Is I just side the Bestials going second. If I'm going first, I side in talents. Against any other deck, there's justification for siding in talents over some of the Bestials, depending on the matchup. And then I do choose to play 2 Lightning Storm. This card was decent. I would give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't overly broken, but I do remember some instances where it came up and it was really good. However, I don't know if it's mandatory or not. That's for you to test and consider if you want to try this. Now, the heartbeat, the only reason I play this as a one of in the side is because it's searchable by kit. So if we are playing against weird matchups that, try to floodgate us or whatever the case may be, heartbeat just can deal with that. And then a lot of people wonder why some people side Foolish Burial. This card, if you really think about it, is a blowout card against any other matchup that's not tier. Here's why. If you're going second into a board and you Foolish Burial, you're dumping Kelbeck, that's just game probably, because if Kelbeck resolves, you're milling 5 against any other matchup that's not tier. It's honestly devastating, and you can just get so much advantage from one Foolish Burial. I don't side this in against tier though. Actually, there is justification for siding this in going first. I think I may have done that against tier because we can dump Angler. However, I do play the one Crime. I do side this in over one Solic when I go first. So yeah, there's that. And then moving on to the extra, this is pretty basic, honestly. One Kit, one Kaleido, one Rukalos, one Mud Dragon, one Garura, one Dragocepalia, and then, one of the biggest differences in this and Ishizu tier is I'm squeezing in a Gigantic Sprite. This card is really good. We only really need it as a one-of because we can shuffle it back with the shufflers. So that's another good reason why Ishizu cards synergize very well in this. And then, of course, we got Dweller, Baguska, Zeus, one Elf, and 2 Sprint. A lot of you may say, why don't you play 2 Elf? Just like the Gigantic Sprite, we can shuffle back our Elf and recycle it. But then you might wonder, why do we play 2 Sprint? Okay, so the justification for playing the 2 Sprint is because we play IP. So on the opponent's turn, half the time we're going to use Sprint in our combo. And then on our opponent's turn, if we end on IP, since we did the Sprite plays, what we can do is we can IP into another Sprint, and then we could just dump a Merrily and then just get a Rukalos for free. So that's why we play 2 Sprint, is for using IP on the opponent's turn. And then one Dark, and that's really the gist of this list. So yeah, that's the deck profile. Shout out to Dragon Riders Games. You can check out their Facebook page, link down below in the description. It's also right here where you can go check them out and play some, online tournaments. In this tournament, I actually opted to take the $85 over the 3 Secret Desires, mainly because, if we were winning cash, it's always a win. But yeah, so that does it for this video. Make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe down below for more content. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one.